These Roblox games have millions of visits, but are the lowest rated games on the platform. Today, I'm going to test the low reviews of these games, and at the end, leave a review myself, but I have to be honest. To find these games and reviews, I'll be playing this game, Better Discovery, which lets people post reviews and rate games out of 10. Up first, Spongebob Simulator, which has almost 70 million visits, but an average rating of 1.5 out of 10. If you thought that was bad, wait till you hear the reviews. User Ducky Gaming XP said, "Slop, just Pet Simulator with a new skin slapped into it. I know they kinda worked hard, but why is this soulless abomination? Rating 0 out of 10. Calling it a soulless abomination is crazy." User Linguine said, "Imagine hearing that there's an officially licensed game called Spongebob Simulator," which is true. This isn't a fan game. This is an official SpongeBob game. Take a second to think about what you would do in a game like that. Catch jellyfish, cook up some Krabby Patties, blow some bubbles? Wrong. This game is just a Pet Simulator clone. Why bother making something unique when you can just do what other people did for some easy money? Rating 0 out of 10. So far, everyone is saying this game is like Pet Simulator, and now that is also a cash grab. But the next review is by far the worst. User Frozen Poop Gamer said, "The game is a complete scam towards the players. None of the items barely do anything to help you forward your progress. Rating 0 out of 10. Users have called this game soulless, a copy of another popular game, a cash grab, and now a straight up scam. Let's join and see if this is true. And at the end, I'll have to leave an honest review myself." Right when I joined, I won't lie, the game looked really good, and all the characters looked pretty solid as well. However, within 5 seconds of playing, I realized something. All the reviews that said this was a Pet Simulator ripoff were true. If you don't know, Pet Simulator is a game in which you use pets to destroy coins, use those coins to get to the next area, and the goal is to get stronger pets through eggs and more. And this game is the exact same thing. The only real difference is the fact that it's SpongeBob. Besides this fact, the game was kinda fun, but it didn't feel like a SpongeBob game. It was just used as a theme, instead of making an actual SpongeBob game. So I would say the first 2 reviews were true. After this, it was time for a boss fight, which seemed really exciting, but the boss didn't do anything, it just stood there. I then went to open some eggs and ran into another problem. This game does seem like a cash grab. In almost every new area you unlock, there's some game passes or an item they try getting you to buy. And if you check the store, there's so much stuff to buy. And when I went to open eggs, if I wanted to open more than one at a time, I had to buy that as well. All the cash grab stuff around the map, and the fact the game isn't really a SpongeBob game left me pretty disappointed. And I feel like what the first review said was true. The game is kinda soulless. I want to ask the players of this game some questions, but that's when I noticed something. They were all bots, which made this game feel more soulless. The map looked great, but it was empty. I was basically all alone. The longer I played, the more I stopped enjoying, but I still had one more review to test, and that was to see if it was a scam. And to do this, I'd have to spend some Robux. In the review, it said the items don't do anything, so I bought an item with Robux. It claimed to increase my earnings by 100%. Before using this, the shells would give me around 200,000 coins, and after, it did give me around 300 to 400,000 coins, so the item did work. And after using the item, I was flying through the area so quick. In just a few minutes, I became a billionaire. So this review is false, but to be fair, there are a lot of cosmetic items that don't do anything, so that could be what they're referencing. By this point, I was pretty much done with the game, and I felt that I learned everything about it. I became super rich, so it was time to leave my honest review. This game looked really nice, and the gameplay was fun at the start, but all the cash grab elements and the gameplay not even being unique quickly made this game quite boring. I also felt quite lonely. Rating 3 out of 10. If you thought this was bad, we're only getting crazier as the video goes on. Because up next is World Defenders Tower Defense, a huge game with over 287 million visits, but an average rating of 2.5 out of 10, and the reviews for this game are brutal. Pause. If you're enjoying this video so far, please subscribe. It's actually my birthday when I'm uploading this, I'll really appreciate it. User Avocado Vegan said, "The game is an eyesore to look at." What a crazy start. And its gameplay does not make up for its art style. Every tower is a recycled version of each other. At this point, the game constantly trend hops as well as being pay to win. Rating 1 out of 10. So already this user said the game is pay to win and hurts to look at. User Water Delicacy said, "The game is terribly monetized, way too many pop-ups and gambling, stupid amount of bugs affecting gameplay that never gets fixed. You can literally see bugs in the first screen of the game." Rating 0 out of 10. And user Triple PRC stated, "The worst tower defense game on the platform, no competition needed. Game is unbearably boring and grindy, impossible to reach mid-game with the free and cheap towers." Rating 0 out of 10. So apparently this is the worst tower defense game on the platform since it's boring, grindy, pay to win, hurts to look at, and also has annoying pop-ups and gambling. Let's play and see if this is true. And stay tuned for my review at the end because I have to be honest. Right when I joined, there's already a review to test. The person called it an eyesore, but to be honest, I think it looked fine. It had some cool models around the place, it was nice. I would say the review was false. But now it's time to actually play the game. If you don't know how tower defense games work, there's basically a bunch of enemies coming out of a tunnel, and it's their goal to reach the end, and it's your goal to try and stop them with your towers. In this case, my enemies were dinosaurs, and my towers were a caveman and a truck. The goal was to survive 20 rounds. These two towers were pretty different from each other. The caveman threw rocks while the truck spawned every 30 seconds and drove through the map. I haven't explored all the towers, but the reviews said they're all the same. It didn't quite seem like it, so I'm going to say false once again. After playing a few rounds, I won't lie, I was actually having pretty fun. I had a good setup going and spent the next few rounds just upgrading my team. By round 8, I had everyone upgraded, but in these games you can upgrade them several times to make them stronger and such. So I spent the next few rounds making my team stronger and stronger. I was enjoying myself. I also never got a pop-up while playing or while in the lobby, so I'm going to say that review was false as well. By round 13, I got the next stage of upgrades on everyone and was doing fine. But round 17 was a bit of a struggle, since every round they had harder enemies, and my team wasn't holding up, so I panic bought some more towers. In the end, I survived. So far, all the reviews have been false, and to my surprise, I was having a lot of fun. But there was a slight problem near the end. The second review claimed that there was a ton of bugs, and near the end, it was a bit buggy, since the round wasn't over but it said it was over, so I'd say that's true. But now it was time for the boss fight. My team was struggling, no enemy made it this far, so I was panicking, buying and upgrading more towers, but eventually I defeated the boss and won. By this point, I was so confused. Almost all the reviews I would say were false, and I quite enjoyed the game. Now to be fair, I would say the last review is kinda true. I don't think it's the worst tower defense game on the platform, but I do recognize it does have gambling aspects and is quite grindy. Overall though, I had a lot of fun. I then asked some other players to get another opinion, to make sure I wasn't going crazy.
How long have you been playing this game?
3 months.
Do you enjoy it?
A lot.
I then asked him about some of the reviews and he got really mad and started swearing, so it's clear players love this game. I also tried asking about the gambling and he quit the entire server, so yeah. I think this review by BovenBen3 sums up the game better. It's honestly not that bad, 6 out of 10. It was now time for my review. I enjoyed this game. It was a simple tower defense game with good towers and a good theme. The enemies and overall art of the game looked really good. Not a fan of all the gambling. However, I enjoyed playing and would play again. Rating 7 out of 10. This game surprised me, but our next game ended up being worse. Because up next is Infection Gunfight, a game with over 89 million visits, but an average rating of 1.3 out of 10, and the reviews for this game are crazy. User CookieDoughDragon24 simply said, "Don't play this," 0 out of 10. User LaceLate684 said, "This game is horrible on so many levels. Gameplay, with stock weapons you cannot feasibly kill a zombie." Then goes on to say, "Zombies. The zombies look horrid. Some classes look awful and do not fit the theme, and some are not appropriate for a children's game. Wow, I'm worried about what we will see." Finally, they said, "Monetization. Links back to gameplay. Literally the only way to play properly as a human is to pay, and zombie gameplay is not fun either. Rating 0 out of 10. So it seems like this game has a ton of problems, but apparently it's also stolen." This person said, "Bruh, this is literally a copy of an older game named Crossfire that's really old. Rating 0 out of 10. A lot of hate for the gameplay elements, and apparently it's stolen." So let's join and test these reviews. When I first joined, I was a zombie. This game is pretty simple. There's humans and zombies battling each other. Either all the zombies die and humans win, or zombies infect everyone and zombies win. The first round as a zombie actually went really well. The game didn't feel unbalanced. I was having a ton of fun. I was about to say most of these reviews are false, but the more I kept playing, the more problems I had. However, the next few rounds also went really well. I had a round on the human side which went really well. I was doing a lot of damage, the guns didn't feel unbalanced, and the round after that I was back on the zombie team, and I ended up doing really well, getting MVP and also getting 3rd place. By this point, I was confused. It was looking like the reviews were false, but the next round is where it started to go downhill. See, in the review, it said with the stock weapons you can't kill a zombie, and it didn't quite seem like it at the start since I had a team. But once I was the last one remaining, it was literally impossible. If you don't have other people around you, it's so hard to do anything with the stock weapons. So the human side kinda started to suck, but the zombie side also got ruined for me. The zombie side was not bad if you're facing people with default weapons, but some people just have crazy weapons which make the game impossible and also quite boring since it's super unbalanced. So I'm gonna mark this review as true. But there's one scary part I didn't test yet, that being where you said, "Classes look awful and do not fit the theme, and some are not appropriate for a children's game." And when I went to check, there was a lot of anime girl skins, which to be fair, didn't show anything crazy from what I saw, but I can see where they're coming from. Overall, by this point, I think I was ready to give my review. This game got more boring over time. It can be super unbalanced at times for both sides, which ruins it. There are some cool elements, like the fact it's all in first person, but I don't see myself playing this game again. Rating 4 out of 10. Our next game though is the biggest but most hated yet. Because it's Climb and Jump Tower, which is over 500 million visits and tens of thousands of active players, but an average rating of 2.5 out of 10. How's the game this popular so low rated? Well, let's see what the reviews have to say. User Put On Your Glasses said, "It's just AFK Climb, equip best pets repeat. This is just awful. There's genuinely less gameplay here than Grow a Garden. Rating 0 out of 10. I don't know why Grow a Garden caught a stray." User ABC123 for me now said, "It was slightly interesting the first climb, and I mean the tiniest, thinnest, pretty much non-existent slither of interest. Wow, these reviews are brutal. Rating 1.5 out of 10. And lastly, Victor Play said, "Is a cash grab game by the way, but it tries. Rating 1 out of 10. So apparently it gets boring really quick and is a cash grab. Let's play and see if these reviews are true or false. I joined and was tasked to climb the Eiffel Tower, but very quickly I started to realize the reviews for this game are right. All you do is climb. No obstacles or anything, just a straight long path. And eventually your character slows down, so you have to jump off and get more upgrades. The jump off isn't even exciting, you can't move, just straight down. I bought some wings which allowed me to move a little bit faster, then it was the exact same thing, just climbing. For some reason, there's also pets in this game, which literally makes no sense. But within 5 minutes, I can already say the reviews for this game were true. It's very repetitive and boring. Like the second review said, the first climb was kinda interesting, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but it got boring fast, and the game also has a ton of cash grab elements all over the screen, so the last review is true as well. I wanted to give this game a chance though, so I kept climbing, jumping down over and over again. Nothing changed, just getting more upgrades and such. I thought maybe the other maps could be better, but they're locked. I was so bored, I didn't even want to try getting to the top of the current map. Right before I was about to quit, there was an event happening in a game, so I thought I'd give it a chance. Maybe this could change my thoughts on the game. After waiting for it to happen, it seemed like nothing changed. I didn't move faster or anything. It just seems like the goal is to keep you in the game for as long as they can, which earns them more money. By this point, I was pretty much done. It was time for my review. All you do is AFK climb and upgrade. I can understand why some people might like the simple and straightforward gameplay, but for me, it got boring very quickly. I don't want to play this game ever again. Rating 1 out of 10. Up next is another huge game that's super hated. Because it's Tower of Dreams, with over 243 million visits, but an average rating of 2.2 out of 10, and the reviews are not nice. User PGH829 said, "It's not gameplay, 0 out of 10. I don't really know what they meant by that, but user Crystal said, "Bro, how do you screw up so bad that you make blinking more fun than this?" So many think the game is very boring, but there's more. User Cata Persona said, "This sucks. The game is subpar, the design is just horrid, and the creativity is in hell because of how bad it is." And later say, difficulty, lower end of easy, maybe even effortless. Rating 1 out of 10. Typically, these tower games are supposed to be hard, so I can see why that might be an issue. But let's play and see if these reviews are true. This game was your standard Roblox obby in a tower format. For some reason, you also get a gravity coil, which helps you progress faster. Firstly, I'm going to say the first review is false, because technically it is gameplay. Next, I'm also going to say the review about it being more boring than blinking is also false. But here's the thing, the third review has some true elements. A lot of the obby design was not only super easy, but also super basic. A lot of it was just super basic jumps, a lot of which you can literally skip with the gravity coil. There were also parts of the map that was just straight lines. It wasn't anything crazy, and it wasn't the most fun game on Roblox, but it wasn't that bad. If it was marketed as a simple fun obby, I feel like that would have been better. So the third review is mainly true, and the first two seemed a bit harsh. But now it's time for me to give an honest review. This obby is super easy and super simple, and it gets lost in the many obbies of Roblox as there's nothing unique that makes it stand out. However, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Rating 4 out of 10. Overall, many Roblox games have low reviews, some that were true and some that were false. Don't go send hate to any developers or game in this video. To watch me explore more games, you can click on the playlist on the screen right now. I'll see you in the next one.